SAS, Study Abroad Services, which works with outgoing students who would like to study abroad in other countries. And that also actually can include you as an F1 student who comes into the US to study and then may be interested in studying in another country for a short term. And then we also have OGRE, Office of Global Research Engagement, and OGL, Office of Global Learning, which is mainly for the students. To introduce you a bit to our staff in ISS who will be assisting you, you should see on your, information regarding our advisors. If your last name is surname A, B, or C, your advisor is Michelle Shepard. And that is her on our screen here. Serving as the Assistant Director for International Student Compliance Services is Ethel Porras, and she assists students last name D through J. Steve Gulamani is advisor for students last name K and L. Candice DeBose Tyson is advisor for students surnames M through Q. Byron Nichols is advisor for students last name R through V. And Kristen Fisher is advisor for last names W through Z. We have some other staff in ISS also who are Jimmy Everett. He is our front desk advisor at this time. We actually will be reorganizing a little bit later, and Jimmy will also become one of the main advisors. So some last names will change around a little bit for which advisor will assist that surname group. We also have Claire Anumba, Chris Connolly, Jan Harden, and Janina Morero, who are part of the ISS team. And later on, you'll hear a bit from Deborah Anderson, who is a part of the ISS support services. Today, we'll focus mainly on the mandatory check-in. If you've not done that already, you need to make sure that you do that online. This year, it will be held only online for our check-in process. And then making sure that you complete your address update. And actually, let me stop sharing this because you don't need to see that anymore. Just 1 second. Okay. And you'll also, we'll also cover the staying in status, full-time enrollment, employment and training requirements, and traveling reentry and the documents that are necessary for that process. Health insurance. As a student in the United States, you are required to have insurance at all times while in the US, and the insurance must be ACA compliant. We have all the information necessary on our website regarding the insurance, but you also have that information in your record. When you log in to MyUFL, it will advise you how to cover the insurance hold that is in there, and making sure that you do that within the first 30 days of the semester. Generally, it's within the first 15 days, but because of COVID-19 and a few other things, there is a little bit more leniency this year for your deadline. If you're going to do the waiver, please make sure that you complete that in order to not be assessed the University of Florida insurance charge if you are providing insurance, other insurance that is otherwise ACA compliant, and you would like to have that hold removed from your record. The mandatory check-in is required of all students within a certain time frame. If you are transferring to UF from another school, meaning you were at perhaps another university during the spring semester and now you're starting here in the fall, you must check in before September 15th this semester, and our initial students must check in before September 30th. Please make sure to complete that check-in in order for us to be able to validate your check-in for this fall semester. Part of updating is also to provide us with your local home address. We need to know exactly your stay here in the US, where you live. To provide your home address, you would log into the One UF and your directory profile to provide us your street address. It must be the physical address where you will stay in the United States. It cannot be a PO box. Make sure to update that information also within 10 days of your arrival in the US. Now, some of what is most important is to make sure that you maintain your status by always having valid unexpired insurance, valid passport, unexpired, And when you enter the US and are provided the I-94 record, that it must say you entered as an F1 for duration of stay. Must make sure that you also attend the school that you are authorized per your I-20. If you were issued a University of Florida I-20, you must attend the University of Florida. If you was issued an I-20 from a different school and need to transfer to UF, please make sure you complete that transfer process in time. And at all times, you must also be a full-time student. Full-time for a graduate student is 9 credits at all times. And generally, full-time also means no more than 3 credits of online registration credits, okay? However, due to COVID-19, specifically and only for this fall 2020 semester, our grad students are able to take a few more online credits as long as not all of their courses for the fall semester are 100% online. This means you must have at least a course that has physical presence requirements during this fall semester. That is an accommodation specifically set for fall 2020 and our grad students needing at least 9 credits, where at least one course has to have physical presence. Okay? So this is generally the outline. That is the outline of the full-time requirements for each semester for a grad or undergrad student. And as a graduate student, that's 9 credits. And generally, 6 credits at least must have physical presence, whereas 3 would be the maximum of online. But again, due to COVID-19 and the fall 2020 semester only, as long as all of your classes are not 100% online and that you have at least one class with physical presence requirement, that is fine during this fall semester. For employment, we want to make sure that you're very careful about the employment regulations. F1 students may work on the University of Florida campus without any prior approval necessary. On the University of Florida campus is generally in your college department, at our food store locations, at our bookstore locations, and through the employment that is directly paid through the University of Florida, the E. Follett Bookstore, or Aramark Dining. You must be very careful not to exceed more than 20 hours per week. Okay? The work week at UF is generally Friday to Thursday, but depending on the department that you're working in, such as the bookstore, the work week may be a little bit different. J1 students must always have prior approval from their ARO or RO, but our F1 students have automatic approval to work on campus up to 20 hours per week. You should also consider anything such as trainings for your academic department, meaning if you have required internships, if you have required practicums, shadowing, anything that it may be called, you must come through our International Center prior to engaging in those activities, because you may need additional authorization in order to engage in any activity beyond the 20 hours per week on campus part-time employment. Okay? Do not work over 20, because if you work even 20 hours and 30 minutes, that can be a status violation. Please make sure to keep your hours to 20 or less on campus. And if you have anything that's off campus, that you contact your international student advisor prior in order to understand whether or not that is something that you are able and eligible to do, even if it is required or optional in your academic department. Okay. Traveling. Whenever you're traveling in the United States, you don't need any additional documents, but we do recommend that you keep them with you just in case. You are asked for it by a port of entry official or a flight official, but in the United States, you don't actually need any additional documents. If you're traveling outside of the United States, then you will need to always have your I-20 as an F1 or your DS 2019 as a J1, and those documents must have an unexpired program end date on that document. You must also make sure that you have a valid travel signature on your I-20 or DS 2019. that your F1 or J1 visa is valid in your passport. The visa is only an entry document. So once you're in the United States, as long as you keep your I-20 and your passport and your I-94 valid, the visa may expire. But if you're going to leave the US, in order to return, you do need to have a valid visa. And your visa can only be renewed abroad. Therefore, you would want to make sure that if your visa is expired or will expire while you're abroad, that you schedule a visa appointment to have that renewed prior to being able to return. You must also make sure that you always have a valid passport, and your passport must be valid at least 6 months beyond your re-entry date into the United States. If you are going to another country that is not your home country, please make sure to check what the requirements are to enter that country. The rules may differ, and they may need documents that are valid perhaps a bit more than 6 months, but generally it is 6 months. Going back to traveling domestically in the US, meaning if you're traveling from Florida to Georgia, Florida to New York, Florida to California, again, these documents aren't necessary, but we do recommend that you have an official government issued ID with you, such as your passport, and that you at least keep a copy of your other documents electronically. Okay, we don't want you to have them to lose them. Be very careful if you carry them with you, but certainly keep a copy of your I-20, your I-94, your F1 visa, all of those documents electronically, just in case you need to refer to those documents. So once again, your international student advisors are listed on our website. If you have any questions and need to reach out to them, please make sure to contact us prior to engaging in any employment, any training, whether paid or unpaid. If you are looking at your enrollment and you're wondering how to enroll for the fall semester, again, graduate students must register for at least 9 credits. And during the fall 2020 semester only, if you make sure that your courses are not 100% online throughout your entire 9 credits, and that at least one course has physical presence, that is allowed for this semester during COVID-19, and making sure that we socially distance. Thank you once again for choosing University of Florida and for joining us here at UF. We hope that you enjoy your time here in your studies and also your time as you meet the students of different cultures, as you contact your departments, as you contact us, and we hope that we're able to be of great service to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Martine. So it looks like we have some questions in the Q&A box below. And I don't know if they are questions you might want to handle or take a look at.
Okay. So looking at the Q&A, what if we are going to study the fall semester online from our home countries? How can we get the insurance waiver? Okay, so I am going to give you a link through how to get your insurance waived. Give me 1 second, please. If you are going to stay abroad for the fall, you would need to send an email to our insurance advisor. I'm going to send a link through our chat here for the instructions regarding the insurance waiver and contacting the health compliance office in order to have that waived. I see another question here. Do I have to complete my mandatory check-in if I take online courses abroad? So the main information provided today is for the F1 students who are able to enter the United States in F1 status. If you are a new student for the fall semester and you will remain abroad and you've not entered the US as an F1, you are not an F1 yet. So you would not check in because you must be in the United States to complete the mandatory check-in. So you may take all your courses 100% online abroad, and there's no mandatory check-in. You would make sure to send the request the insurance waiver for the fall semester if you do remain abroad, however. I see a question from YouTube. If I have tax-related questions, who is the right person to contact? And that person actually will be on here in just a moment, Deborah Anderson, and she would be the right person to contact there. I'm going to find her contact information to provide you also. And while I'm doing that, I see another question. Do I have to complete my mandate? Actually, that was a question I just answered. So I think that one is answered live. Thank you. And where is our staff information about UFIT and staff? For taxes information, I am sending a link for the person who had the tax question right there. I have another question. I intend to waive my insurance. The UF Insurance told me if my I-20 has been deferred to spring, they will help me waive. How can I know if my I-20 has been deferred? If you are an initial student for the fall, and if we have received an I-20 update request for you from your academic department, we will be processing the deferrals in September. But if you've already contacted the insurance health compliance office for that, we are also working with them so that they are aware whose I-20s have been or will be deferred. We will work on all of those in September and plan to have them completed by September 30th. This is why the insurance office has also deferred the deadline to provide the waiver to September 30th in order to help us facilitate as many I-20 deferrals as possible. Another question, if I stay abroad in 2020, is there an accurate time for I-20 delivery of 2021? So we will be deferring all those I-20s within the month of September and should start mailing them out very early October. If we've already issued an I-20 for you before, you should get that in the mail. Those will start being mailed out late September, early October. Are there any other questions? I think those are all the questions I see right now.
Hi, Martine. So if there are other questions in the future, who should students direct those questions to?
So in general, our students should be able to reach out to their F1 advisors directly. We do have a lot of emails at this time, and hopefully we can get your questions answered relatively quickly, but please be patient with us. I'm going to give you the link to our page again where your contact advisor information is available. We actually also have a frequently asked questions handout available there, which I am linking here. And actually, is this okay to keep linking here? Like students can save the links from, is that working?
I'm sorry, Martine, can you repeat that?
Is it okay to keep linking within the chat box here that students can have those links available to them? Is that helpful? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just put a link to the frequently asked questions regarding the fall semester during COVID-19. And now I am sending the link to advisor contact information. These are the advisors that helped you with your I-20. Generally, these are the names that you see on your I-20. During this, earlier in the spring, we had a couple advisors on leave. So you may see a different advisor's name on your I-20 since we were all helping each other. But your specific advisor is based on your surname. So the last link that I provided will direct you to who all the advisors are, and pay close attention to how your surname is spelled in your passport, and the first letter that is listed there for your surname will tell you which of the advisors are specifically your advisor so that you may reach out to them to ask those questions. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Martine. I see there is a question from YouTube that Brad shared. If I have 4 hours hybrid and the rest online, would that be okay?
So if you're asking about your 9 credit hours, and you're saying that 4 hours of those 9 are hybrid and that you will have physical presence in at least 4 of those credits, yes, that is fine during the fall 2020 semester due to COVID-19 and the accommodations provided by the regulatory body at this time. During the spring, we don't know yet how involved we will be with COVID and what SEVP, the governing body, will provide us for the spring. So right now we're stating that for spring, all students must expect to resume full-time based on the pre-COVID guidelines. But for fall 2020, as long as you are registered for at least 9 credits and at least one of your courses has physical presence requirements, then that is fine for the fall 2020 semester. I see a question regarding SSN for new students. Should we reach out to the International Center or to our academic departments? If you have an assistantship, you will need to, one, make sure it's on your I-20, and two, as part of your check-in, you will actually let our uh, in your check-in, you'll state whether or not you need a social security number. Actually, at the end of it, there's a contact listed. And then once you confirm that you do need to apply for an SSN, our staff member who is conducting check-in will follow up to provide you an SSN letter to then apply for Social Security. Deborah Anderson is our liaison to the Social Security office, and she will also be on here soon. That's a question you may want to ask again for additional information, okay? I see a YouTube question. I had my I-20 deferred to spring 2021 as all my classes have been moved online and got the electronic version of the I-20. Should I go ahead and book a visa interview appointment? During COVID-19, we are allowed to provide our students with an electronic copy of the I-20, and the governing body, SEVP, has informed the Department of State and the Custom and Border Protection officials that we are using the electronic version of the I-20, and they are understanding and accepting of that. Therefore, yes, you may use your electronic copy of the I-20 to book your visa appointment for spring. Whether or not anything will change about the being able to provide the copy, we will provide that information as soon as we're made aware of it. But at this time, our students can use the copy to apply for their visa appointment. I am a transfer in student. Will I expect my I-20 to be mailed or will I receive an electronic I-20? Generally, we're providing it by email. However, when you receive the email that says your I-20 has been issued, you can always reply to advise whether or not you would like it specifically shipped or if you're fine with the email copy. Okay. Another YouTube question. Hi, I am a J1 student and will be joining the class online due to COVID-related travel restrictions. Do I still have to maintain one physical presence requirement? I'm going to encourage our J1 students to reach out directly to the EBS department. That is a different department from the one that I am in. My understanding is that our J1s are able to do their course fully online, but in case there are any changes to that, please make sure to contact your EBS advisor to obtain confirmation about what you are able to do during the fall semester. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions that I currently have. Okay, another question. When I apply to UF, I send in a sealed envelope my complete credentials with credentials translations and even WS equivalents. Now I see on ISSS that I have to send my credentials again. Is this valid for everyone or students who already did it are excluded? So in ISSS, we advise if you need to provide credentials, how to do so. We are not able to confirm who does or who does not need to provide the credentials because that is a different office from our own. But we do state that if you have not provided your credentials, please make sure to do that. Our students who have not provided credentials certainly should have a hold on their record, which the admissions office administers. Therefore, if you have that hold, even if you think you provided it or know you provided it before, just go ahead and communicate with the admissions office regarding how to have that hold removed. Any other questions at this time? I have a question here. If my visa is granted for the spring semester and if later on the classes are moved online again, will I be in trouble for that? There's so many things changing at this time. You don't have to worry about being in trouble or anything. What I think I'm hearing in this question is someone who may have deferred to spring and, you know, did that with the idea that they would like to take their classes physical presence in the US. At this time, because SEBP has not provided any information about what accommodations, if any, will apply for the spring, we're hoping that we can resume physical presence. And if COVID-19 does not allow that, then hopefully SEBP will provide more information. And at that time, we'll be able to share what applies specifically to the spring semester. So at this time, I'm not able to confirm what will apply to spring, but I doubt it will mean you being in trouble for anything, okay? Please stay tuned with us. We'll definitely update our frequently asked questions or otherwise reach out to our students to let them know what UF plans to do for the spring semester and what SEBP will allow for the spring semester.
All right, my team.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that will have to be our last question because we have to start our next cross-cultural adjustment at UF session.
For everyone who had tax or Social Security related questions, then you may be able to ask in the next session if time allows. Thank you, Bradley.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to end the session now.